Well, you knew this was coming, and if you didn't, you probably should have. Now, EA over the past week or so have been releasing certain ratings, mainly in regards to attributes like who has the best deking, the best shot, slap shot power. Today, though, they released the goaltending rankings, the top 10 goalies by overall in NHL 21, and yeah, it's something. It's something. Andrei Vasilevskiy as the highest rated goaltender at a 91 overall. I don't necessarily disagree. Now, shout out to WordPad here. But for me, at the end of NHL 20, and again, for the way I roster edit, I base it off of the formula that EA revealed that they use in terms of what defines a starting goalie, an elite goalie, a backup goalie, same thing for the forwards and the defensemen. So, you also look at franchise mode and how it defines those players as well. So that gives me an overall basis to work off of for so like a 95 overall goalie or a 93, whatever, would be this, and an 84 overall goalie would have like this save percentage. Now, save percentage isn't the end-all, be-all, of course. There are other stats to look at, and I mean, as a fact, we did look at some of those other stats the other day. Was it Jay Fresh who put them up there? Yeah, it was Jay Fresh Hockey who put them up there, and again, we talked about this in yesterday's video. I do believe it was yesterday's video in regards to Martin Jones and Devin Dubnyk. Again, there are other stats to look at beyond just save percentage. There is, I guess minutia would be the right word, but there is that, those underlying stats that you can look at, the advanced stats that you can look at that tell the story beyond just save percentage. Although I feel like a lot of the times, save percentage and how these stats line up, they do correlate obviously extremely well. So, save percentage isn't the end-all, be-all, right? But regardless, and actually, I'm going to leave up Jay Fresh here. This guy does fantastic work. Oh, I'm not following him. I don't know. That said, you look at these ratings, right? So, Andrei Vasilevskiy being a 91. For me, and I do believe Hellebuyck was an 88. For me, I have Vasilevskiy right now, based off of EA's formula and how we put it into the game, as a top 4 goaltender. If you want him to be the number 1 overall goaltender in the game, I'm not going to argue that. It's certainly debatable. You can look at other stats, and some people say, he's playing behind Tampa, which is a great team. Of course, Tampa just won the Cup, rightfully so, an amazing team. You know what else I could say? I can't really disagree with Vasi being a 91 overall and the top-rated goalie. It's fine. John Gibson being the second-rated goaltender. Now, again, I have him in that slightly lesser category. Still a very good starter, a top 10 starter. Do I have him as the second best starter in the league? I don't. I just don't. Now, again, the argument is, at least for the ratings, you look at save percentages and you say, okay, here, sure, but he takes a bit of a hit here. Now, yes, Anaheim wasn't that good of a team here. And again, for goaltenders, for all players, I look at the past 3 seasons. I don't know how EA judges it. They must look at more than the past 3 seasons. Like, if you look at the past 4 seasons, Gibson, great. I feel as though it's fair. He has to take a bit of a hit for the fact that he hasn't posted a 920 for the last 2 years. Yes, that correlates with the Ducks, trending downward, but it's that constant argument of, is a goaltender slipping up, or is it the team in front of him? And that's just always going to be a debate, and that's where, a lot of these advanced stats come in. But, I don't know. For me, do I have John Gibson as a top 10 goaltender? Yes. Do I have him in a 4-way tie for the second best goaltender in the league? No, I don't. At least not after last season and the season before that. There's no denying, though, is John Gibson a top 10 goaltender? Absolutely. So, is he at least in the right place as a top 10 goalie? Yes. You can debate that rating, a pretty drastic swing if you want to. Third, and again, also a 90 rating, is Tuukka Rask. I don't think that's arguable. I have Rask as one of the top 2 goaltenders right now with Ben Bishop, based off of, again, primarily save percentage that we've been looking at for the past 3 years. And again, the argument will be, how much of it is Tuukka and how much of it is the Bruins being as good of a team as they are? Bottom line, was Rask a top 10 goaltender? Yes, that's not debatable, so it's fine. And here comes the "you're just a biased Bruins fans" comments, but it is the same argument. Carey Price at a 90, I personally disagree. That's not a surprise. That's not to say that Carey Price isn't a fantastic goaltender and was at a time clearly the undisputed best goaltender in the world. That is not the case anymore, but I feel like EA still gives him that legacy rating, and I don't like legacy ratings. I don't think that you should continue to rate someone at a level that they're not at anymore simply because they were at that level or even better a few years ago. I don't think it's fair. So again, a lot of people will be like, oh, Price an 85, but again, you look at this. Price, Freddie Anderson, Markstrom, Varlamov, Ranta, Crawford. Do any of these goalies suck? No, they don't. And again, you look at Carey Price, like I said, save percentage doesn't tell the whole story. You look at these stats right here, holy fucking shit. From 2013 to 2017, he is the best in the world. And there was a time where you could legitimately argue, there was the argument of like, is Carey Price the best hockey player in the world? Even better than Crosby. Like, can a goalie be called the best hockey player in the world? Carey Price was that goddamn good that argument was legitimate. That discussion needed to be had. He is not that right now. He's not. I know he was good in the playoffs for Montreal. It's honestly shocking that they lost with him playing that well. He's the only reason why they made it that far. But he's not that anymore. Again, the argument is that the team in front of him hasn't been that good. Although, it's not as if he had a losing record in 2018-19. So you can look at the arguments. There's a couple different arguments. For me, is Carey Price a top 10 goaltender? You can make that argument, trying to fight off a sneeze. Is it going to happen? No, it isn't. No jump cuts. I need to get this video out, damn it, and start dinner and be a good boyfriend. But, is he a top 10 goaltender? It's debatable, right? If I look at these goaltenders right here, right, the ones that I had in the 85 category, which is still really good starting goaltender by NHL 20 logic, do you want to make the argument for Price being top 10? Yeah. I'd probably say it's between Price, Anderson, and Crawford off of the body of work. I wouldn't put Ranta technically in the top 10 because of the injury concerns. I wouldn't put Varlamov there or Markstrom because, Varlamov, really shaky goaltending. Markstrom's been consistent over the past few years, but you'd want to see a little bit more. Has he been more consistent than Anderson or Crawford? No. So would I put, to round out the top 10, it would be between Price, Anderson, and Crawford for the final two spots. I, at this stage, would probably go Price and Anderson, personally. That's just me, though. So, again, Price at a 90, I disagree with it. Is he a top 10 goalie? Arguably. Probably not so much arguably. Like I said, out of those 85s from last year, I would put him into the top 10. I'm sorry. He doesn't deserve that rating. He doesn't. Like I said, I'd love to see, and I'm sure, the stat tracking like you're going to see here, from Jay Fresh, and I actually don't sub to him on Patreon, but I'm going to because now I'm intrigued to know. Free publicity here. But, again, overall, for me, Price at a 90, Connor Hellebuyck at a 90, the fourth and final guy rated at his 90. Again, I have Connor Hellebuyck as a top 4 goaltender right now, and I think that's pretty much undisputable, or indisputable. Boy, don't I hate having to make jump cuts when I'm ranting and raving, but I had to blow my nose after that. I'm turning into 2BC, apparently. Connor Hellebuyck. Number 5, he had a legitimate shot. Not only should, winning the Vezina aside, legitimate heart conversation for Connor Hellebuyck. He was that damn good this year. And again, you look at Connor Hellebuyck and what he's done over the past few seasons. And yeah, 2 920 plus save percentages and 913 last year. Again, you can make the argument of like, oh, well, he was playing behind really good defenses. The defense wasn't so good this year, for Winnipeg. Obviously you lose Myers, you lose Trouba, you lose Bufflin. He still posts a 920. So Connor Hellebuyck, the real deal, absolutely deserving of being in the top 5 for goaltenders right now. I don't think that's debatable. Ben Bishop at an 89. Now, their version of an 89 and my version of an 89 is drastically different. Ben Bishop is a top 5 goaltender in this league. based off of the last few seasons. Now, I know for Stars fans, they're going to be like, excuse me, but here's the thing, right? There were times this year where he was absolutely horrific. You look at the past 3 seasons, he's been outstanding. But there were times this year where he was horrific, yet he still posted a .920 save percentage. The playoffs, he was hurt, he was garbage. So I do find it to be a little bit disrespectful to Ben Bishop to not have him be in the top 5. I gotta be honest. I mean, yeah, he's still up there as an elite level goaltender, but I don't see how you don't have him in the top 5. Freddie Andersen at 7, along with Markstrom at an 88, who's an 8th, and Braden Holtby in 9th. Again, Freddie Andersen and Markstrom in that conversation for the final 2 spots in the top 10. No problem. No, I mean, really, there's not too much to say. I mean, yeah, Freddie Andersen, an amazing regular season goalie, playoff goalie, for the most part, good. There's been some hit or misses. And here, we'll take a look at his stats for the hell of it, and we'll go over everything, because why not? Not Frederick, but Frederick Andersen. Not the one from 68. Oh, fuck it, Toronto. Just go to Toronto. Is there an E in... Yeah, there is the E in Frederick. I was right the first time. See, this is what happens when I didn't plan on ranting and raving about Frederick Andersen, because there's not much of a debate there. Freddie Andersen's a great goaltender. But, I mean, yeah. See, I mean, I said somewhat hit or miss. Like an 896 was horrible. A 915 solid. The last 2 times the Leafs have made the playoffs, he's been really goddamn good. But obviously this year, regular season-wise, you can have the debate over, like, Toronto's defense and all that, and obviously the change in head coaching. Freddie Andersen's a really goddamn good goaltender. There's no debate. He's a top 10 goalie. No debate. And like I said, from Markstrom, I don't know if I would personally put him in the top 10. He's someone for me that, I mean, certainly he's been on the rise the past couple of seasons, but you look at those past 3 seasons, I mean, a 912, a 912, and a 918. Compared to the other goalies that we've looked at already in their save percentages, compare him to Freddie, now you see why I'm saying, like, okay, I don't think Markstrom's a dead set lock top 10 goalie for me, but he's right there in the conversation to be at the tail end of that top 10. So that's fine as well. I personally wouldn't have him there. I certainly wouldn't give him the same rating as Freddie Andersen. That is, if not ridiculous, I'm not going to label it that way because, for lack of a better term, I do not know how to describe Braden Holtby having the same rating as those 2. Andersen's better than Markstrom. Sue me. Holtby having the same rating as Markstrom is laughable. And this is what I'm talking about with legacy ratings. What is the excuse for Holtby? It can't be the team he's been playing behind. The Caps have been consistently good. You look here, Braden Holtby, second best goaltender in the world behind Carey Price around this time. You might even be able to argue that he was the best because, hey, Price had some injury troubles. Braden Holtby, around the time between 2014 and 2017, the best goaltender, arguably in the world, at least the second best goaltender. I mean, even dating back, I mean, he debuts against the Bruins in the playoffs, essentially, or shows up in the playoffs out of nowhere and just kicks the shit out of them, and will continue to kick the shit out of the Bruins for many years. He's not that anymore. He was okay in the Cup run. Obviously, though, heading into that Cup run, he wasn't even the starter. It was Grubauer, if I'm not mistaken, and Grubauer, I think, either sucked or started to get hurt, and then Holtby took the job back, and they went all the way. Braden Holtby is not on the same level as Jacob Markstrom and Frederik Andersen anymore. He's not. If this is 2017, you have him in the top 3 minimum. He's not that anymore. Can we please stop with the legacy ratings? Holy shit. Call them legacy ratings, call them reputation ratings. Stop. Zdeno Chara's not a 92 overall anymore. In my heart, he is, but he's not. He's now a decent to low pairing, second pairing guy. He's not the Zdeno Chara of 2011 anymore. So why was Zdeno Chara, do you not give him a legacy rating, but Holtby, Price, and Chara is just an example. There are other amazing players out there where we can all admit that they're not what they used to be. And that means their rating goes down. Like, it's not that complicated. So, out of all of this so far, again, Vasi, I'm fine with it. I wouldn't have him as the top-rated goalie, but I get it. Gibson, again, I think you gotta give him a little bit of a downward trend, but top 10 goalie, yes. Rask, solid. I mean, based on the last 3 years, top 3, yes. Price, you gotta drop him a little bit. He's still, again, in one of these bottom spots, but he's still a top 10 goalie. Hellebuyck deserves, he's a top 3 to 5, so that's fine. Bishop should be in the top 5. Anderson, again, I'd have ahead of Markstrom by a little bit. Holtby being in the top 10, let alone top 9, is disgraceful. Disgraceful. And Caps fans, that's not me hating on Washington. I literally just said you guys have had an amazing team. He was amazing in that cup run, but even he's not the goalie that he was. He's just not. And again, you look at these numbers and what supports that, right? My biggest argument against Carey Price is while his numbers were declining and while people were saying, oh, well, he's on a bad team, you can look at what Antti Ranta was doing in Arizona behind a defense that, if it was better, it wasn't by much, and Ranta was phenomenal. So I don't know how much I buy in to, it's the team in front of him. Like, that argument isn't, dead set, okay, well, that's clearly the problem. But you look at Washington, how's Ilya Samsonov posting a 913? Braden Holtby's under a 900 save percentage. He's at an 897. Braden Holtby's not what he used to be, is the point. And then we get to Robin Lehner, who, I do want to talk about because he did just sign an extension. I mentioned this in the comments as well. We'll talk about some of these signings that have happened here recently. But Robin Lehner, again, for me, I kind of have him in that Gibson tier where, obviously it's been the past 2 seasons where his overall rating for me would have gone from like an 82, 83 to now he's moving up and trending towards the very good, if not elite, off of what he has done with the Islanders, Hawks, and Golden Knights in the past 2 seasons. So Robin Lehner is a top 10 goalie for me. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. That said, for those who I have missing, obviously, I think it's incredibly disrespectful to Darcy Kemper. He might actually have an 87 overall, and they might have just put Lehner there. And Marc-Andre Fleury. I know a lot of controversy surrounding Flower, but you look at the past 3 years, the difference is Lehner trending upwards, Flower trending down. It's pretty simple, but then you can have them meet in this middle ground, and then obviously, just like in real life, there's that situation of, well, shit, who do we go with? And clearly the Golden Knights are going with Lehner. And then, like I said, obviously, Varlamov, Ranta, Crawford, these are guys that still deserve shout-outs. Corey Crawford's still a great goaltender. Playoff-wise, it was a bit, But, overall, for these top 10 ratings, for the most part, the top 10's right. I still think some people are slightly overrated. Like I said, some people don't take as big of a hit as they should for looking at the past couple seasons. Like I said, I think you got to trend Gibson down a little bit. Price and Holtby are 2 prime examples of, again, for Price's legacy rating, it's a bit high. For Holtby's legacy rating, it's absurd. It just is. So, my opinion on that, I do want to mention as well here, to steal just all the content from JFresh, I want to talk about some of these signings. You look in Tristan Jarry, and as mentioned here, it's a small sample size, but goddamn, it's tough to say that the Penguins shouldn't have bet on Tristan Jarry with this contract. Now, it's crazy because obviously when Fleury left the team, it's like, okay, this is Matt Murray's team, and then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, it might actually be Tristan Jarry's team. And again, 3.5 for the next 3 years. It does continue the trend of unproven goaltenders getting a decent amount of money. Now, Jarry has a bit more NHL experience than Elvis Merzlikins on the Blue Jackets, who got some big money, but probably worth it for the Penguins. Murray's an RFA, if I'm not mistaken, so they'll get something out of it. And if he can continue to play at this level, then yeah, Tristan Jarry is the guy. And again, in terms of how consistently this season, there were the quality starts. I mean, it's the high danger chances where he's not essentially lights out, and that's to be expected with goaltenders. Michael Grabner as well, being bought out. And I can see why. He just he just doesn't have it anymore. And then the other news from today, Olli Maatta has essentially been dumped onto the LA Kings. The Hawks just determined to move on from him. I mean, $4 million for a third pairing guy who can contribute, but still a third pairing guy is a little bit much. It leaves them with $11 million in cap space. I mean, you have to re-sign Dylan Strome and Dominic Kubalik. So something had to be done. Defensively, I mean, I'd be a little bit worried because what the hell is going to happen here? I mean, I don't know if you want Slater Cuckoo and Nick Seeler on the third pairing. I guess it could work, and obviously you have some younger guys who might make it. Who knows what's up with Brent Seabrook? Goaltending-wise, Crawford and Subban are both up. So this is going to be a very, very interesting offseason for the Chicago Blackhawks. Wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have $6 million of Brandon Saad? Wouldn't it be nice if you weren't paying Calvin DeHaan $4.5 million, Connor Murphy almost $4 million, and then you look at what's currently listed as being on IR with Seabrook and Shaw? Interesting times for the Blackhawks. For the Kings, I mean, they're set up pretty well in this draft. 3 second-round picks is solid. $13 million in space. I mean, Trevor Lewis, I'm pretty sure, is confirmed to be leaving the team. Aside from that, Ben Hutton, Joachim Ryan, and Nikolai Perhorkin, which, you got money to play with. I mean, granted, you're still having Mike Richards count against you till the end of time, and you got to pay Ilya Kovalchuk over $6 million this season, or at least he counts against the cap for over $6 million. But, you look at this defense now, and I mean, Maatta certainly helps. No denying he can be a very useful player for the Kings. So, for the Hawks, you had to clear space. I like the deal for them. And for the Kings, you add a defenseman that's going to help you out quite a bit. And I think that was it. No, that's right. There was the Andre Sekera signing as well, which, to be honest, I don't mind. You look at what could be considered fair value for him. I mean, you got him in the right range. Under $2 million, I think, is pretty good for him at this point. And again, to talk about it, I mentioned this in the comments section of yesterday's video, at least one of yesterday's videos. I don't hate Brian Elliott going back to the Flyers for this season. I mean, you could have done better. You could have done better. Those numbers have really been trending downwards, but it's at least only $1.5 million. So we'll see what he has. You might want to try to rely on somebody who can get you more quality starts than that, but can you get it for the price? I don't know if you can. And then the Robin Lehner deal. Jesus Christ, though. 5x5, by all accounts, an absolute steal. And it really is incredible how it went from thinking like, okay, he's the future of the Islanders to the Islanders not wanting to pay up. Okay, he's the future of the Hawks because Crawford's going to be done. Now he's the future of the Golden Knights, and they have Marc-Andre Fleury that they can move. And is that Fleury contract something that you necessarily have to add a prospect to be able to trade? I don't think it is. Like I said, I still view, while he's trending downwards, Marc-Andre Fleury is still a capable goaltender at the NHL level. If you want to base it off the last 3 seasons, again, that might be a little bit concerning. But are there teams in the league that could use a Marc-Andre Fleury? Yeah, there is. And I mean, hey, if you're the Golden Knights, I mean, right now they might not have. I think they're over the cap technically. So, the good thing is for them, they don't have major contracts that they need to re-sign this year. I mean, Cousins, Stevenson, Nosek, they're not going to be commanding that much money. So the good thing is for the Golden Knights, I mean, you're going to be able to move that contract. You're going to have to sign a backup goaltender. I mean, unless you want to roll with Oscar Dansk or Dylan Sparks? Garrett Sparks. Why the hell was I going to say Dylan Sparks? I was going to say Dylan Ferguson because he's not ready. So, I mean, I don't know. Very interesting offseason for them coming up as well. It's an interesting offseason for everybody coming up. But, yeah, that pretty much does it. Wanted to talk about these ratings, which, again, just to recap one more time. Vasi, fine. Gibson, a little bit overrated. Tuuk is fine. Price is a little bit overrated. Hellebuyck's fine. Bishop's a bit disrespected. Anderson's fine. Markstrom's a bit overrated. The Holtby top 10 is... And then Lehner, I agree, is top 10. Oh, roster editing is going to be fun this year.